Grisly crimes from past. Two cab mysteries. When one of two lovers gets shot in a sealed cab, the event may be problematic for the law. Should the victim die, the case is likely to rest on the testimony on the survivor. The two stories that follow were different in outcome, yet they shared many features in common. Both shootings, for example, tragically concluded love affairs, which were supposedly over already. Both also involved ladies of the stage and took place during the Champagne year before the outbreak of World War I. The first drama was played out in New York, 1904, where Mrs. Caesar Young had enough. Everyone knew about her husband's affair with Nan Patterson, 22-year-old chorus girl from the hit musical Florodora. Mrs. Young had thwarted one attempted elopement and now booked passages for her husband and herself on a transatlantic steamer. Maybe a holiday in England would provide a chance of a reconciliation in which memories of the chorus girl would fade from his mind. Francis Caesar Young, New York gambler and prominent man of the turf, agreed to the vacation. The passages were booked for 4th of June 1904. But on the day before the ship was due to leave, Caesar Young spent a long time with Nan Patterson. The bonds that had united them could not easily be severed. He drank, they argued, and on the morning of the sailing, he was again in Nan's company. The couple shared a hansom cab, which led along Broadway to Theatreland sensation and an amazing triple series of trials. Exactly what happened in the cab? One shot detonated in the vehicle, and a passerby heard Nan cry out, "Look at me, Frank, why did you do it?" First, the chorus girl told the driver to make for a nearby drugstore, then to hurry on to a hospital. But it was too late. When the cab doors were opened, Caesar Young was already dead, slumped in the lap of his mistress. His shirt was stained with blood from the bullet wounds in his chest, and the pistol was found in his coat pocket. Nan Patterson was arrested and charged with murder. If a verdict of guilty was reached, she would go to the electric chair, a device used in New York from 1890, when it had been applied for the first time in the world. Nan's case first came to court in November 1904, but a mistrial was announced before she could give evidence. One of the jurors had died. At trial 2, held the following month, the jury could not agree on a verdict. At the third trial, held in April 1905, the jury was again unable to come to a majority decision. Throughout her ordeal, Nan had fervently protested her innocence, and public opinion was firmly on her side. 10 days after the last trial was concluded, the judge granted a motion that she be discharged. Outside the court, a delirious crowd cheered her to freedom, and in the playgrounds, little children were heard to chant, "Nan is free! Nan is free! She escaped the electric chair. Now she's out in the open air." The second cab mystery occurred in the city of London, 2 years after Broadway's incident. At midnight on Saturday 28th of September 1912, the driver of a taxi moving along Fenchurch Street heard 3 loud bangs behind him. Assuming his tires had burst, the driver got out to examine the vehicle's wheels. A police constable on night duty also heard the shots and came up to find out what was going on. The tires were firm, and the driver opened the cab door to see if the 2 passengers were all right. Immediately, a woman toppled headlong out, moaning, "Mind, cabby, he has a revolver. He has shot me. Drive me to the hospital." No sooner were the words uttered than 2 more deafening shots were heard. Inside the taxi, her companion had tried to shoot himself. Blood was splattered all around. The driver rushed his cab with his freight of wounded fares to Guy's Hospital, where the woman died within minutes of arrival from wounds to her head and chest. The man, though bleeding severely from head to hands, was saved from death. His name was Edward Hopwood, a failed company director. The dead woman was Florence Alice Salles, stage name Flo Dudley, a music hall comedian. Edward Hopwood was a short man, short of stature and short of funds. Though married with children, he lived apart from his wife and was practically bankrupt when he first met Flo Dudley. The pair quickly became lovers and must have made a slightly improbable couple where she was statuesque and ample-bosomed, with the full-blown figure so admired in the period. Despite his dire financial straits and his matrimonial state, Hopwood proposed marriage to Florence. She was a widow at 34, and having no idea that Edward had other commitments, readily accepted. Being a strict Catholic, she insisted that they see a priest, to which her lover consented. She also brought Hopwood home to Ilford to meet the sister with whom she shared a house. He was introduced as her betrothed. Florence intended, though, seemed curiously evasive about naming the day. He offered a registry of his wedding, but even the would-be bigamist clearly balked at the idea of a formal Catholic service. In August 1912, 5 months after the affair began, Florence would endure no further delay and broke the relationship off. She would have no more to do with the diminutive company director. Edward grew jealous. He knew Florence was friendly with a man living in Southampton, and desiring one last rendezvous, Hopwood resorted to subterfuge. He went to Southampton and, using the other man's name, telegraphed Florence to meet him for dinner at the Holborn restaurant on the night of 28th of September. It was the night of the fatal shooting. That Saturday morning, Hopwood bought an automatic revolver. In the afternoon, he made out his will and wrote a suicide note. At night, he made his surprise appearance at the Holborn restaurant. Shortly before midnight, the couple hired a cab to go to Fenchurch Street Station. It was during the course of this short trip that the 3 shots rang out. Edward Hopwood was tried for murder in December 1912. He refused legal aid, preferring instead to present his own case before the jury. Hopwood's contention was that he pulled out the gun intending suicide, but Florence grabbed him as he produced the revolver. The gun fired accidentally in one rapid burst of 3 shots. The judge was no means unsympathetic, but the prosecution brought forward a forensic scientist who testified that Florence's head wounds could not have been caused by chance. At one point during his final address to the jury, the accused was overcome with emotion and broke into a fit of sobbing. Eventually, when prompted by the judge to continue, Hopwood wept, "I can say no more." There was no triple trial for Edward Hopwood. The jury found him guilty of willful murder and sentence of death was passed. Late in December, only 3 months after doctors at Guy's Hospital had saved Hopwood's life, the hangman took it back at Pentonville. Thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed this story, please like and leave a comment, as it helps with YouTube algorithm to grow this channel. I regularly upload, so by subscribing, you will be notified of new materials. You will find similar contents in my other videos. Have a safe day. Signing off.